Before we get into this video, let's look into James Wiseman's actual deal. He signed a 2-year deal with the Pacers, and the second year of the contract is a team option, so they can just cut him if they don't want him a second year. And only $500,000 of the first year is guaranteed. And the Pacers already have 16 players on the roster, and someone's going to have to be waived. And I honestly think James Johnson or Kendall Brown or Cole Swider, all three of them are on the edge of getting waived. And all these deals of them are completely non-guaranteed. So I don't think James Wiseman is going to be waived, but there's certainly a possibility. If he doesn't impress in training camp, it's like the fact that James Wiseman is even in this position to be waived as someone who was like said, you know, this guy's going to be a star. It's sad. He played 60 games over 3 seasons with the Warriors. Showed no improvement. He averaged 9 points and 5 rebounds. You might disrespect him, but he's a 2022 champion, even though he didn't really do anything for that. So if you still hate on James Wiseman, you haven't done what he's done. You don't know what circumstances he's faced. Let's say you hate James Wiseman. Let's say you're a Warriors fan watching this, and you're like, James Wiseman ruined the fucking franchise. Listen, watch this video as if you were James Wiseman himself. Hope you enjoy. Please subscribe, like the video, whatever you want to do if you enjoy this video. Now let's get into it. I have a really hot take to start off this video that James Wiseman wasn't a terrible pick. If you look, like, originally, James Wiseman was one of, like, he was projected first round, the first pick of the NBA draft. When you have a guy like that, it's not a bad pick. You think he's going to be this, like, the Warriors always need a center. He just wasn't the right center for the Warriors system. Because if you look, Steve Kerr, his offense relies heavily on movement, shooting, versatility. And Wiseman, with his limited experience and raw skill set, he was like a project and he wasn't quite ready to just go with this Warriors high-octane game plan. Like, Wiseman, he was literally projected to be the first pick, just not for the Warriors. He wasn't, I think if he was picked from another team, he could have done much better. Because, listen, his college career was cut short by COVID, suspensions, and obviously a lack of playing time when he came back. And he only had a handful of games under his belt. But he was an incredible player. He was drafted with the label of a superstar, bro. The reality was, he wasn't really prepared to step in such a high-profile role so early like the Warriors did. His skills were really promising, but they needed time to develop, obviously. So, instead of being a game changer right away, as the Warriors wanted him to be, he could have been a solid center if he had the right opportunity and the right time to develop. And, as everyone obviously knows, James Wiseman was traded from the Warriors to the Pistons, and everyone's like, oh, now he has a place to, you know, develop. And even there, he kind of struggled. He had a lot of injuries, especially with the Warriors, but mainly with the Pistons, and a lot of inconsistent play. Like, he did good coming in, but this definitely kept him from making, like, a big impact. Also, the Pistons were in, like, a big rebuild, and they weren't really the perfect environment for Wiseman to find his rhythm, because, like, they're not exactly a team trying to win. Even there, he had limited minutes. The Pacers just have this amazing talent, this amazing track that they have of this track record. They just develop players that didn't quite pan out. Like, my favorite example would be Obi Toppin. Like, I loved him on the Knicks, but he wasn't exactly, like, being used properly. You put him on the Pacers, and it's perfect. You got a guy like Aaron Nesmith, Jalen Smith, even Tyrese Halliburton, the best player of the Pacers. Look at him at the Kings. He was under De'Aaron Fox, and he wasn't quite being used the way he should have been used. Got traded for Sabonis, came in as a little add to the deal. Boom! One of the best players in the NBA, just won a gold medal. This is what the Pacers do. A lot of players thrive in Indiana after being overlooked or undervalued by, the teams before. And I think Wiseman can follow in these footsteps if he gets the right opportunities, and that's an if. But I do think that Wiseman is a great player, and he himself is excited about the opportunity. And, quote from him that he said, "This is really somewhere where I could develop, just trying to be the best version of myself." He told Sports Illustrated that he's ready to learn and contribute however he can. Just coming in, just learning, just trying to see what I can do to impact. And his focus is on rim protection, rebounding, and running the floor. And this is very important because I watched a lot of Warriors games, and Wiseman did not seem to be doing these things to the best of his ability. But Wiseman's not going to just have an easy role with the Pacers. He's the third center behind Miles Turner and Isaiah Jackson, who technically be a power forward, but still, he's got to earn his minutes. I do think the Pacers development system offers him the chance to grow and improve, but if Wiseman can make the most of this opportunity and can get in there as maybe like a backup center to Miles Turner, I think he could be a very, very valuable role player. Not a bust. Not like, this guy's out of the league, absolutely trash. No, I think Wiseman's very talented. And there's a lot of criticism based on the Warriors, like, why did they make this decision? Like in 2020 and 2021. Like, why do you pick Wiseman over Halliburton? And we pick, like, Kuminga over, like, Franz Wagner. And you could say, oh, this messed up Steph's championship window. As I was saying earlier, let's look what it was like back then. You can't blame the Warriors, because in 2020, all 12 mock drafts had the Warriors picking Wiseman at 2. And everyone said that Wiseman was the second best player in the draft, behind Ant and ahead of Melo. And Halliburton was like lower, like 6, 7, 8 picks. Nobody thought the Warriors would take Halliburton at 2. And in 2021, Kuminga was also conceived as the right player for the Warriors at 7. Like Moody was projected around 8. It was a good pick. I do think the Warriors could have traded and maybe got out of this situation. But let's look, what if Wiseman panned out? He was projected to be a 20-plus point, 10-plus rebound guy with a shot blocking ability, potential three-point shooter. Had he reached that potential, the Warriors could have won 56, 60 games last season. Like, imagine you have a guy like Wiseman. Like, the centers weren't good. Last season, Dario Saric was very inconsistent. And Kevon Looney's just not the same Looney he was. I mean, this offseason, he's looking pretty good, but he's just not the same guy. Like, imagine you have James Wiseman out there as an actual 20-point, 10-rebound guy. The Warriors drafted Melo. Let's say they did. Melo, they had so much guards. He would have been a trade asset. Maybe a valuable one. But the Warriors, probably could have got a different big man. But I'm just saying, Melo wasn't the right pick at the time. I still think Wiseman was. But if you look back now, maybe he wasn't. That's up to you in the comments. But in the end, the draft is a gamble. The Warriors made what they believed was the best choice. And Wiseman's potential was undeniable at that point. His fit and development did align with the Warriors' championship timeline, even though they did win. But we're talking about, you have Stephen Curry, one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time, one of the greatest players to ever hold a basketball. And you gotta let him win more before he retires. And I do understand why Warriors fans hate Wiseman. I didn't really like him for a while, but I got to love him. I really got to love him over his last year. I got to understand him, got to watch him. And he was drafted into a very challenging situation. And, you got to give him props for that. And I think for the Pacers, this is a really good grab there. You get this valuable free agent, and he has a lot to prove. So, he can really do a lot for the Pacers if given the right opportunities. I really do think that Wiseman isn't a bust if given the right opportunity. I think he could be a solid NBA role player or even a starter on some teams later in his career. And I think he can have the right development and he could turn around. If you enjoyed this, please comment your take on this. Thank you. And signing off, Zam NBA.